in order for a business to be profitable, let's say like a business that sells something, right? A service or a good, and not a business that's just like, oh, we flip stocks, not something like that, but like a business that actually provides something that people buy and need. In order to do that profitably, that means that they're actually doing something that's productive. And that the one thing you would want them to do if they're productive is to scale and become more efficient and do more of that thing at a cheaper cost when you scale.
Yeah.
When you tax them, you basically take away their ability to scale. Welcome to episode 33 of the Sultan of Slow Drip. I'm your host, the Sultan of Slow Drip, joined by Victor Chan.
Hey,
the
short
man.
hiatus, but we're back.
Yeah, we took a month off,
Just a month.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. It was hot boy summer, so I just felt just going out and just, chilling for a month, How you been, Vic?
Good. I mean, just busy, just trying to stay on ground.
Yeah, right?
Just tread water, I guess.
It's like sometimes you're so busy grinding that you forgot to ground yourself.
Yeah, and Justine does a great job of doing that, of like holding everything else down and as a centerpiece in a way, and like reminding me to like I don't have to grind like every day, like to just pause for a second here and there, and especially when we're like in the wedding planning process, like that helps me kind of recenter as well. But everything's good. I mean, photography hasn't been better than it has. It's been busy. It's like summer, or it's like wedding season in a way. So proposals, engagement sessions, weddings coming up. Like if you can imagine like making a few thousand, and you probably have like a few $1,000s in a weekend.
Right.
And it's not that simple because it's like your work isn't done after the shoot. You got to edit and all that stuff, and that'll take maybe a month's time. But I have never come across that type of cash that fast in a way.
Yeah, except for like Dogecoin now.
Right? Yeah. Dogecoin, they're all sinking right now.
Yeah, everything's... yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm just trying to just remind myself also that whatever you end up doing, it's a relationship thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying your best to maintain a very decent relationship and create an optimal experience, like client experience for them. And as busy as you are, like no one cares how busy you are.
No one cares.
And you just got to keep going, like from their perspective, right? You just show up. Like I came straight from class. I ran late, and Justin's not going to care. Like 1 o'clock's the time.
No, you were good.
Like,
you were on fire. I saw you run in. I was like,
be on time,
yeah,
right?
Vic was on fire.
And I learned that the hard way last year, but I'm doing my best to like just keep my word.
Right, yeah, it's tough, and it's like when you make those time commitments with yourself and you break them, that starts to slide into breaking them with other people. Yeah, and then you're like, oh, traffic was bad, oh, this was bad. It was like, and you just feel like a piece of crap. Personally,
when it happens to other people, to me, like if someone's late at a meeting, like I don't like.
Right, yeah.
I give them grace, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's like a personal thing.
You're harder
head,
on yourself than you are on other people.
Yeah.
And I think, that's how it should be on the whole. Like some people get it totally backwards. And then some people are just like, some people are like just hard on everybody, including themselves,
Yeah. I mean, everyone's got shit going on.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So just more grace. Trying to give more grace.
Yeah, that's actually why we named our daughter Grace.
Oh,
yeah, that was a big part of it. Yeah, my wife was like, she believed that the name was the thing that sets you into the world. So it's important to choose a name that will reinforce this kind of messaging.
Sure.
And Grace was the thing that she wanted our daughter to live with.
Yeah.
Today we're not doing a tasting episode per se, even though you do see some tasty beverages. And got some Purple Label here in front of me, and drinking it with ice, which is not like
good.
me. Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it?
Are you still doing the Topo Chico and the coffee tonic? The coffee tonic?
Yeah. I do those like.
Is that a regular thing?
Yeah, I make my own sparkling water, so it's it's like Topo J-Dog.
The Soda Stream or something else?
No, I use a full keg, like a full soda keg with like a big. Yeah, I go to the commercial
Oh.
Yeah, I get the good price
It
on
is.
it.
It is my goal one day to have a few taps in my home, and I don't know what beers. It's gonna be hard to choose what beers, but Kyoto Black will be one of those taps.
Is the other one going to be a Hawaiian punch like Adam Sandler?
He's done that, and then David Dobrik did it from the straight up like high school water fountain kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you gotta bend down and yeah.
Yo, it would be pretty boss to actually get sparkling water from one of those water fountains.
Yeah.
That would be a.
They do them in restaurants, right? So why
No,
not?
no, I mean like the school post
Oh,
fountain.
how bougie would that be? Here on your left is
Sparkling
still,
water.
and on the,
Right,
and then
just-
you got tap as well. Still, tap, and sparkling.
You just there slurping like making that noise. Dude, I actually want that now. That'd be such a flex. But in any case, we got this here, and I'm very impulsive when it comes to tasting things.
Okay.
Like if I see something and it's like not a robbery in terms of price,
Sure.
and I've never had it,
I've never seen it.
I will pick it up. Yeah. So this is ruby chocolate, and apparently it's made with ruby cacao beans, which is something I never even heard of. They're a different color, different type of cacao.
Sure.
Um,
Not. I mean, my first look was like strawberry, right? And
Right,
There's
yeah.
nothing to do with strawberry.
Nothing to do with
Okay.
strawberries. Like this is the ruby cacao here.
Or just
It's
come
probably-
up to us.
Here?
There it is.
Oh, that's the focus
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
Gotcha. So it turns. Hey, okay. Yeah. So this is like the stamp here.
Okay.
It's just a cacao pod that's red.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's I guess this is like if you were to get white chocolate. This is what the white chocolate from the ruby looks like.
Oh wow.
That's my supposition of it, especially too because it's such a low percentage
Sure.
cocoa.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
So more sweet than bitter then.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I definitely wanted to try this just because it seems like, another way to inform my palate, and saved it for my boy Victor.
Would you say that like Japanese kind of sweets and beverages are more subtle in nature? They're
They can be. So
I thought of the beer episode that you did.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. So basically with Japanese, they love like the choux cream.
Choux cream.
Yeah. Like the cream puff. Like they love the French pastry style.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so their cakes will be like very airy. That's
Okay.
a big thing. They like whipped cream and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I would say one thing I noticed is the creams are always really subtly sweet.
Mm.
I've not had like a whipped cream in Japan that was like overly sweetened.
Okay.
And then fresh sliced fruits and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
fresh strawberries.
Yeah.
Some of them will even put like sliced grapes
Yeah.
in between like the layers of a cake, which when it starts to kind of like sit there for a while, it melds into the cake and it becomes a really nice actually texture. Like
Okay.
yeah, like the cake will suck some of the juice out of the
Sure.
grape.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty nice. It's kind of a weird thing. but-
Yeah. It's a compliment when people say it's not too sweet.
Yeah. I'm definitely in the camp. You
Oh,
wanna-
it's pretty.
yeah. Break off a piece
Oh,
of that.
so
Yeah.
soft.
Yeah. This definitely seems like it's a
Smells like chocolate.
a white chocolate. Whoa. Like I'm totally thrown off looking at this and then smelling the chocolate.
It's melting in my fingers, so I had to eat it.
Yeah, it tastes like white chocolate.
Yeah.
A
little tart.
Yeah, it's like a
Like sweet
raspberry.
Yeah.
Raspberry tartness.
But subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't say ruby, like I would have just assumed it was like raspberry infused white chocolate.
That's what I would think too. Wow. The fact that this is a thing and not just like raspberry infused white chocolate.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that is very cool.
Damn. Well, you can feel free to help yourself to more if you'd like some. Have a little bit of coffee. Yeah, I like that. That's a good cop. Wow.
Nice. Where'd you get it from?
Whole Foods.
Okay.
Yeah, it was literally like just sitting there at the register, and I was like, "Ooh, ruby chocolate." You know, at first when I first
You've never had
glanced-
it, right?
Never had it. When I first glanced at it, I thought it was just like raspberry strawberry chocolate. I was like, whatever, and I was like, oh wait a minute, oh, let me grab it. So that's just I think, and if you're gonna have a great palate, you have to be willing to just grab things that seem intriguing that you've never had, simply to just register it into your palate.
Sure.
And what I'm gonna do now, after having tried this, later, like off camera, I'm gonna sit and have some more of it and really think about, okay, I know what white chocolate tastes like, I know what raspberry tastes like, okay, but what else is there inside this
Sure.
that is different from those? Maybe I can try to freeze it, maybe I can try to melt it,
Yeah.
and see like if something just comes out a little
Why
different.
why is it that white chocolate is difficult to melt?
I don't think it
I'm
is.
trying to-
Is it?
Or like it not to melt, but like when you're trying to pour it, it like re-solidifies much faster than milk chocolate.
It's got a high fat content.
That's what.
It's
oh,
the
fat.
cocoa. Yeah,
It's fat.
it's the cocoa butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the high fat content.
So when
yeah.
we're trying to make like your own homemade, let's say white chocolate Reese's cups, peanut butter cups, you're pouring it and you gotta go fast because it just re-solidifies.
It re-solidifies really quickly. Yeah. So and there probably some like bakers who could give you techniques about what to add to things. Like, you know, I'm not saying like beeswax or anything would work, but you know, beeswax is one of those things that people do use to set things in a particular way, so that when they do set, they have a nice sheen, like a very nice heart, like with chocolates, and like different truffles.
Sure.
You can add that to it to give it a certain sheen when it does solidify. So there's probably little tricks to it. I even know some people will take a white chocolate bar and put it in a vacuum bag and then throw that in a pressure cooker.
Oh.
And then that will caramelize the white chocolate.
Oh.
Yeah, it'll probably give you cancer too because you're pressure cooking plastic. But
oh yeah.
It's like, I don't know about that one. But yeah, but it comes out brown. You throw it in as white chocolate, it comes out brown from the pressure cooker. Yeah, you like caramelize it, and it's like white.
What about sous vide?
It doesn't get hot enough.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's just a bath.
Yeah, it's just tepid.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll just melt it, but it won't really like, turn into like a caramel.
Right,
Maybe,
right,
I mean, if I don't know, there's a limit to how hot you can get a sous vide.
Okay.
I mean, there's a limit to how hot you can get a pressure cooker, but it's a much higher limit. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Damn, I'm having a piece of that. That was good. But yeah, the thing that I actually wanted to talk about is more so like the business side of things. We were having a little bit of a conversation just before we started the episode, and it's like, especially with this current, I mean, we're in summer. Summer is the time where people are out doing things, right?
Yeah.
People are going out, and on the other side of that is there are a bunch of people working. There are a bunch of people doing business, because you can't go to a restaurant unless there are people there working.
Yeah, and it's still tougher than ever to find staff.
Yeah. Oh, have you noticed how many like now hiring signs there are everywhere?
All over.
Like,
or just even as the guest, you show up and you see it's empty, but there's still a wait because they don't have enough staff to take care of you.
Yeah. In fact, at a restaurant that I was going by, they had a sign in the window that said, "Please be patient with us. We're not ignoring you. We're just very understaffed." And I was like, wow. The way they worded it was like, like, damn, they've like kind of desperate, like for staff. Like, we're not ignoring you. We're just understaffed.
I wonder we're obviously in the era of the creator economy, and a lot of people that have had jobs previously either were let go or made the choice to try something entrepreneurial on their own. And maybe it hasn't been enough time, but I don't know if everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But, more power to you. And in a way, from the staff perspective, the power's kind of in their hands, right? And but then from the employer's perspective, they're telling me that like this current generation is just like there's just a lack of discipline, hard work ethic. You might make several $100s one day and just flake because you don't need the cash anymore.
The cash. It's like they're thinking more so, I just need to work for the money I need now.
Where even if you have this culture that you've cultivated, like I guess it doesn't count as much as you would thought.
Do you buy that, or do you think you have a different perspective?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, there's no way to we're not denying anyone's experiences, and I'm doing my best. My team, and this is for any employers. It's like you want to give them the tools to succeed in your role, like as a staff member, but then personally as well. You want to hear them out on what they want to achieve long term, and no one is going to be at your place of business for the rest of their life. Yeah, they have their own thing, right? Yeah. And so ask them, like, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And how can I best support that? And I think when your team feels that you care for them, I think they'll put in 100% into what they do while they're there.
Yeah. I think everybody should always have an iron in the fire. That's just something they're doing. Like, for example, with me and Kyoto Black, I was doing Kyoto Black just as a hobby when I was working for another company. But I turned it into a side hustle just by simply accepting money from my thing that I was already doing.
Right.
It went from being a hobby to being a side hustle.
You were just sharing good coffee with friends.
Yep, just sharing it, just giving it away.
And then they felt compelled to pay you for it.
Yep, to pay me for it. And then I started thinking, okay, what is margin now? Okay, what is supplying bottles? What is, you know, and then that became this thing that you see that I'm doing now. And I feel like everybody needs to be doing that with their downtime in some sort of way.
If they want to.
If they want to. Not necessarily even doing it for cash, but doing it for self-development. Doing it for insurance. Because you just never know, like, you might get laid off and have to just provide for yourself. And wouldn't it be great to have, like, some sort of skill set? Like, for example, if you enjoy just working on cars, there's always going to be a need for mechanics.
Yeah.
Always. Even if someone just, like, needs an oil change.
Yep.
You can change their oil for them. You know, make $70 doing it.
Yeah. No, I'm in several neighborhood groups, and each neighborhood, especially like the one in Ukrainian Village, like they've come together. Like there was a guy that was out of work, but has had experience detailing cars.
Oh.
And he's like, I could come to you. You can come to my garage.
Yeah.
It'll take an hour. And the community would share the results of his detail job, and it's great.
Nice.
And it just like word of mouth just spreads, and then now he's busy.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so it's stuff like that. It's like the power's back in your hands if you want it to be.
Exactly. And I think the pendulum has swung a little bit in the sense, like you were saying, where, yeah, the staff has a little bit more power now. Back when I was in the restaurant industry, you know, you would have to deal with customers who would be rude or not like all the time, obviously, but there's a certain degree into which, you know, you were expected to kind of just take it on the chin.
Yeah.
Right. And now, like, yo, these staff will tell you to go fuck yourself, like, flat out. They'll just tell you, like, because they don't need the job, you know, whatever that means. I don't need the job. And that might mean, you know, my parents will take care of me, or my family will take care of me, or everybody's hiring, so I'll just go somewhere else. But it could also mean, like, hey, I'll just go on, like, some sort of benefits program until I need more money, and then I'll go, you know, work somewhere else.
Yeah, because that's not really the case anymore. You know, 2020, 2021, we would get like we got like a few checks here and there, but like
yeah, I mean
that doesn't last.
Yeah, those are you know, the STEMIs, but I mean just like someone just going on unemployment.
Oh, unemployment.
You know,
okay.
like
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many people who are, you know, on unemployment and stuff like that, and just maybe not even technically meeting the requirements for it, but still managing to get on. So, you know, that's always an option too for a lot of people. And they take it. So all those things combined,
For sure.
They make it hard, obviously, for business owners. But I do think that we're in this weird. It's very clear that a lot of things are changing right now in society.
Yep.
Like, and not just prices. Prices are going through the roof.
Yep.
I have my own kind of opinion on why that's happening. Because, you know, like this whole like inflation idea, I think it's really just a result of the supply chain breakdown that we experienced during COVID. Because
it's catching up, or
yeah, well, it's like this. Let's say, because people understand that inflation is basically the money supply is higher than the goods supply. Like, so people call it money printing, right? They're like, oh, they're printing too much money.
Right.
I could go into a whole diatribe about how that's not really happening. As far as I can tell, like, money's not being printed. Money's not printed. It's loaned into existence by banks. That's how money's created, through debt. You know, the dollar is a debt instrument. But and just another side tangent, that's why the price of school goes up, you know, college, higher education, and housing goes up so much faster than just about everything else, because those are the things that you take out debt in order to purchase. People go into debt to buy schooling. People go into debt in a form of a mortgage to buy a home. So the new money that gets created goes right into those things, driving their prices up, because now people have this idea that they have more money than they actually do because they're able to take out a loan to make up the difference. Whereas if you had to do cash, you know, or your savings, you buy a more modest house, or you negotiate a lower price. You know, the market would ask a lower price because there's less money to even throw at the thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's no coincidence that when schooling prices started going up, it coincides with loans being issued, and that's private, and that's also government loans. It's just throwing more money at it. But in any case, though, the whole thing with the higher prices is not, in my opinion, it's not money printing exactly. It's, you have a monetary base, but then there's fewer things actually circulating through the economy. So there's still the same amount of dollars, or marginally a little bit more, but just so much fewer things to spend them on.
Okay.
Like, the amount of products that are actually moving through the seas and making it to their destination is less.
Okay.
I play a card game, and the cards for the newest set that was released were on the dock for 2 weeks. So that game, its release date was pushed back, just unexpectedly. They're like, "Hey, I know we're launching this product on the 24th, but we have to launch it, 2 weeks later now because the docks are so backed up, we can't even get the product into the country."
Sure.
And this is into America, from New Zealand. So when you have that sort of lesser availability of things for people to buy, they start competing with each other to buy what's remaining.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're having a shortage rather than anything else. And just trying to use our money to buy these things because we're worried that if we don't buy it, we won't get it.
So what do you do? Hold out?
I think you try to get back to like a smooth supply chain. Basically, you get, on the actual, like, the industrial side of things, they basically have to return to normal.
Yeah. I don't know. Has most of the world kind of returned back to normal? I know a few people that have caught COVID recently, actually, but
Yeah, and when I say return to normal, I mean like basically, like move product.
Or are they not moving product because of COVID?
Yeah, so basically, it's not even because of COVID anymore necessarily. Even though China is still like having like severe lockdowns and like Shanghai and like the Shanghai is a really crazy story right now. But in any case, though. Part of what was going on is in global shipping, you have these shipping containers that move products. Let's use this China to America example. So they'll have those big, metal boxes that you see, right? They ship all these goods to America, and then America then turns those right back around to China and sends them back empty a lot of times, just to be refilled and sent back with more product, right? During COVID, that whole system got broken down such that those products that were coming to America and being unloaded, those boxes didn't get sent back to China. So they were just piling up in America.
Why not?
Just ports were being closed down, like lack of manpower. You remember the world was shut down. So everything, like there were planes, for example, that were flying, from the United States to Russia, and that just stayed in Russia during COVID. Like they didn't take back off. They just stayed there. So these shipping containers, all these different things that are moving around the planet got frozen in place. And because of that, there was no container to go back to China to bring the new set of goods. So when that happens, whatever containers that are actually circulating become a premium.
Okay.
So that's why the shipping prices went up so much. And then companies started popping up making new shipping containers. Like they used to make like some other metal, things like refrigerator door panels or something like that. And now they have to start making shipping containers, reconfigure the whole factory to make shipping containers to satisfy the shortage of containers that was existing.
Okay.
So there was the whole like global lockdown created one big inefficiency.
Okay.
It was just wasteful. And, when you waste something, the price goes up.
Okay.
So just imagine like we just spent 2 years just wasting resources. By shutting, it had to happen. Like when you have an economy that's moving, like look at it like a factory, right? The factory's churning out products. Let's say you have a factory that fills up bottles of beer and sends them out the door, and then now you stop the machine entirely. Beer bottles frozen in place and everything, right? For 2 years, and you're like, okay, we got to run this machine again. Okay, not only do you have all that wasted product that was on the line, but now you got to go and clean it. Now you got to go and oil everything. Now you got to go and get that whole machinery working again. Now you got to bring the workers back into the factory. Now you got to hire people because the people who used to work here, because they've been out of a job for 2 years, they moved on. So you got to find new people. You got to train them. We did that on a global scale for 2 years.
Okay.
So of course prices are going to go up.
Yeah.
And that's rippling through to the everyday person, and the everyday person doesn't necessarily see that happening. They're just like, oh, I'll blame this person, I'll blame that person, not understanding that it's like a whole societal shift that happened because we just stopped the planet for 2 years. And even gas prices going up is related to that, because they have to do the same thing. They stopped everything in place because there's less gas consumption and now that's coming back online. Now they got to do all these things.
The people that are being blamed for this, why aren't they speaking up about what's actually going on?
I mean, do you want my real answer? Or do you I think it's so complicated that in some ways maybe people wouldn't listen. For one, it's easier to like. Do you know the term kayfabe?
No.
Kayfabe is a pro wrestling term, and kayfabe basically refers to the idea that you don't talk about the fact that pro wrestling is fake, right?
Okay.
Like, so wrestlers stay in character.
Yeah.
And their character becomes like their real persona in a way.
Yeah.
And you just don't break character. You don't talk about character. You don't talk about wrestling being fixed, right? I think there's a certain amount of kayfabe that rules the world. So that's kind of my real answer is like, you go along with it because, I mean, what is there, like, the drama of it all keeps people engrossed in the first place. And it's like, to a degree, no press is bad press. You know, when you're not talked about at all, that's the worst press. So even if people are saying bad things about you, maybe that's not so bad.
I don't know. People are talking shit about Biden these days.
They are, but I mean, what does he care? Do you think Biden really wants to run again anyway? It's like, come on, like.
I don't know.
I mean, he should just enjoy the rest of his time, like here, you know, with his family, just not doing what he's doing now, I think.
Sure.
Because he's old. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to, I feel bad for him because I wouldn't want to be in his position at his age. Like, I get tired. Like, it's so hot outside. Sometimes I'm just like, man, like sweating and just like, Lordy, you know, just like,
Yeah,
fanning
it
myself.
causes confusion in him.
Yeah, right? I'm like fanning myself with my hat.
Yeah.
Just like, man. And I'm less than half his age.
Yeah.
So I don't envy him, you know, to be in that position. And I do think, in some ways it's very unfair that people are saying like, this is his fault because it's happening globally, you know? Yeah, that's I guess that's what we do. It's like we kind of yell at what people point to.
Well, it helps build your worldview, and like it helps bring logic to all this chaos that's happening to you, and depending on who you talk to, it might not even make sense, but it makes sense to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the very simple answer that people can latch onto because, like, you ever notice how people just want sound bites?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why is gas so expensive? Oh, it's Biden's fault. That's a sound bite.
Mm-hmm.
But is that really it? Probably not. I think there may be other things that might be his fault, but it's not high gas. You know? Same thing with Trump, too. It's not Trump's fault. It's a complex. We just stopped the world for 2 years, man. Like, people act like, oh, you stopped the world for 2 years and then nothing happens. You know? No, we're paying the price for that.
Sure.
So, and on the plus side, though, TVs are cheaper.
Yeah, that's weird. Why are TVs cheaper?
Well, from what I understand, man, that's good. From what I understand, it's basically like you have all this inventory just sitting on shelves.
Okay.
That's like, they need to get rid of it. Like, the stores just need to clear out this inventory that's just been sitting on their books.
Okay.
So they need to fire sale it, basically. Like,
Yeah, you get giant.
you can get
LCD
huge,
TVs.
like 50-inch TVs for like $200.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some crazy TV deals.
Yeah. Where, like regular stores or Costco? Yeah.
Like online.
Oh, online.
Yeah. And it's like, you have to come, like, get the TV now, like, that kind of stuff, like, today only, or, you know, like these crazy sales.
Yeah.
Because they need to clear out all this inventory that's just been, like, there's a glut of certain things. And I also think, too, because the price of essentials are going up, people are spending more money on essentials than they are on non-essentials, like TVs. So when it comes between, like, eating and watching TV, you're going to choose to spend your money on eating. So these companies that have all these TVs are like, no one's buying TVs, and we need to get rid of them too. Because they're buying warehouse space just to hold these products. It's not even like they're just holding them in the normal stores that they have.
Okay.
They're buying, like, extra storage that would be used typically for something completely different to store product, and that's just not cost effective. So you're better off selling the TV even at a loss than you are at paying to store it.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, that we're the whole 2-year thing that we just did. Yeah, we're big time paying the price for it. So
Sure.
yeah. But we'll survive, obviously. made it this far.
Yeah. So how's it been being back open?
People have been very happy.
Oh, good.
That's the number one thing that I noticed. It started off slow. Like, it started off so slow that I was like, man, should I really be open? Like, even 3 days? Because barely anyone was coming in. But then after, like, maybe 3 or 4 weeks of doing it, you know, having people trickle in, I had a bunch of people just coming in and saying, oh, man, I looked and finally you're open again. I'm so happy you're open again. Like, you know, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, you know, just open 6 months a year. Because after October, literally no one cares about cold brew in terms of walking around with it.
Sure.
They still love to get it shipped to their home, but no one's walking into a store.
I think
and
it depends on the right area. There are people like me, like I would drink hot coffee all year round.
Yeah.
And then there are people that would drink cold brew all year round.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. It's just more so like for whatever reason.
I think if you were in an area like West Loop, you'd see that foot traffic.
Yeah.
You'd see that industrial like corporate world kind of
Right.
thing.
And then I'd have
people that stop on the way to work to
Right.
get coffee. We're like, this is more of a neighborhood.
Yeah.
vibe, right?
I'd also have to have a full menu because then,
Yeah.
you know, they wouldn't just necessarily want to come in just for cold brew.
Sure.
They'd be like, oh, why would I go to Kyoto Black when this place has like all this other stuff? So I couldn't pull it off exactly the way I do.
Yeah.
So, because I like the feeling of not throwing products away. I think like working for other cafes that have more full menus, the amount of waste that just happens, the amount of sandwiches that get thrown away, the amount of pastries that get thrown away, that you cannot give to homeless people for like really bad incentive reasons.
Well, what if you start small and then you just sell out and then you slowly scale?
That's one way to do it. But then you piss off people who come in.
I mean, they'll come earlier next time. That's how I feel at side practice. If I miss an ube donut, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta come here earlier.
They do, and then you just keep pushing it, and then before you know it, you're buying a lot more.
Okay.
And then one day you're just throwing everything away. It's like because
Potentially,
you end up chasing that.
Yes and
profit.
no. Either that, or they just have other people on rotation, right? Like they just collab with so many other pastry creators that they don't really have to scale one thing. They just have a variety that people just have different things to try.
Oh, I get that part. More so what I'm saying is you end up just buying more overall product. Because think about it this way. Let's say you buy 10 of, pastries, just call them general pastries. It can be a mixture of different things, right? And then when you sell out, you sell out. You start to notice that as people are trying to come earlier and earlier to get them, there's always going to be people at the very end who are like left out.
Sure.
So in order to bring them into the fold, you're like, all right, I'm up it to 12, up it to 15, up it to 18.
Yes or no? I mean, it's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
You could
and,
always just tell them
you
like,
don't
hey.
have to. It's just they still got the beverage, right? And
Yeah.
if you got a strong beverage menu, then it's a win still.
I guess that's better than nothing, maybe, because
Yeah.
it's like I literally just go, hey, if you want a muffin.
We've had this conversation so many times of your perspective on the coffee shop or what you want to create with Kyoto Black, and whereas like I thoroughly enjoy, and you do too, but like the relationships that come from people trying Kyoto Black. But I wonder how many more relationships can come from people enjoying it in your space. And now when you have this space that people can create and foster relationships in, it opens up so many other doors, I think. And I know that comes with extra overhead and maybe a team and things like that. But I think the potential is just limitless.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something for it. I don't know, like my personality is probably just not like excited about that. I think is what it is.
And that's important.
Yeah. I like being able to collab like in a very known way where it's like I know what the collab's going to be and what the interaction is going to be kind of ahead of time. And we were just talking about like how this person who has a business who also knows me, who also knows Francis.
Right,
and it's just like you didn't even know we knew each other.
No.
Right? That side of things, I like that better. Because it's like
Okay.
if I go talk to John, I already know what I'm going to talk to John about. If I go talk to Francis, I already know I'm going to talk to Francis about. You could have someone come into your space and, they may do something. They may not. They may be good at it.
And it might not be a relationship with you, but a space where they connect with other people too. It's just
I hear
like
you.
just where relationships in general are fostered.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more of like a Schopenhauer type. Like I'm such a negative minded person when it comes to that kind of thing. Cause I just think about how like there's a great obviously we need each other. Like as people, like we all need each other, like to collab and to just help each other. We're social animals. And I just like also, I know that the amount of friction and like just like headaches that come with dealing with more people is just completely not appreciated. Like I appreciate how much of a headache people are. So that's why I do the things the way I do them.
Sure.
And I also know I'm a headache too. So I inflict myself on people less that way.
Really?
Yes. That's, literally.
I don't think so.
I know. I appreciate it. Vic. Like, you know.
And I think a lot of people would think that too.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a headache. Like if you add like, up and down, but when you average it together, I'm probably more beneficial than not beneficial. But still, there is that drag that comes with just being around me. Just like everybody has a little bit of drag.
Okay.
And it's like I know that I can't necessarily inflict my drag upon people like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I try to like limit the amount of drag that I get on me, like in an unpredictable way, where it's like someone just walks in the door, and now it's like, okay, I have to do something with this person.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm not really necessarily prepared for that.
Well, what if you do it in the sense that where you will have a team and they become the face of the coffee shop and you're still the face of the company,
well,
but you physically don't have to be here.
I need a team either way. But there's two kind of things about that. Just
you
to
can
get to
hire
the
a team that enjoys the stuff that you don't the interpersonal stuff.
Well, here's the thing I can say about that. And this is like, I'm not big get like very like just like hard-nosed about it, just because it's business stuff. The most productive capacity that you can put a team into is a factory setting.
Yes, productive. But what about fulfilled?
I mean, even fulfilled, where it's like, hey, what if you put them in a factory setting and say, hey, I respect your time enough that like you get your work done and you just get to go home.
Well, there's a time. There is a time and place for that. I'm sure whether it's bottling and stuff like that, or filling pouches. But when you have a role like behind a counter, that's not a factory worker. You need someone that's dynamic. You need someone that is able to pivot left when the right is blocked off. Like you need someone to make those left, very quick decisions in certain instances.
Well, I know that like I'm of the mind too that freeing people up to do more important work is like critical. Like you want to so for example, I think it's a better use of like resources to, instead of like have a shop where you have a person who's like serving people like pastries or coffee, for example, to have like a branded vending machine that you restock daily that has like all this great stuff that people want to have.
I think there's a time and place for both.
There's definitely a time and place. I don't want everything to be vending machines.
Yeah.
Absolutely. More so in terms of like my like vision for what I want to participate in.
I look at a business with a soul.
Right.
And that's just the romantic in me. And the objective thing is, no, Victor, the business does not have a soul. You bring in dollars and you there's a cost to that. And that's the most like objective truth to looking at a business. But what I'm thinking of is like, how can this organically grow into something that you probably don't even have a vision for, like a clear vision for at the get-go?
Well, I can say two things about that. For one, like at its core, a business makes people happy. At its core. Like the thing that a business does is it makes people happy. It solves problems for them. And it's not like I'm not saying this like, oh, bring value or like the, kind of cliched like shit that you hear, gurus talk about, that kind of stuff. But more so like literally you have to like make people happy in terms of you gave them a service that actually made them smile or made them, enjoy what you did, or you solved the problem that just cleared up a bunch of anxiety that they were having about like not having their car working or whatever, having ants in their house. You did something that made them happy, right? So at its core, business makes people happy, and then it does that in a way that's profitable, right? So that's the general idea. Here's the thing that I just like have concluded, and it's maybe a part of my worldview. Really good interactions, interpersonal, are not scalable.
You just need more people.
That's not, I mean, like...
It's not as scalable because it's easier to leverage things like internet and machines rather than humans. I get that.
Right. And then the more people you introduce into a system, the more chaos you bring into the system.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and then it's like now you have to start...
optimistic.
I hear you.
guess.
Well, I'm not a pessimist exactly.
And just the example that I gave you earlier, but
Yeah.
before we started recording, I only got that photo shoot because I met Noel.
Right.
Right. It's
Right,
just like, and Noel did a great job at side practice. That like just being the face on that day that I came in and made such an impact that I wanted to strike a conversation. So
Right.
through all those interpersonal, and then I
Yeah.
got to meet his girlfriend, and
I hear
then
you.
from that I met
Yeah.
Colin. You know, it's just
Right.
like, wow. Like,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's definitely a place for that. I get it. I mean, I'm thinking in terms of like an operator.
Yeah.
Like, because you did that as Victor, not as Francis. You know, in terms of you did that as side practice, right? Like,
Well, Francis built a team
He built
that
a
he
team.
trusts to
Right.
be the
Right.
operators
Right.
under him, right?
I get that
Yeah.
part. And that's good and everything. And that's like he built that space with that in mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you can walk into side practice
Mm.
and see like he built that space to look like, oh, this is a hangout space.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not in the hangout space business,
Mm-mm.
right? I'm in the like production business, and you know the thing about it is when you hire more people and you build out a team, it actually is more incumbent upon you to be profitable.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lay people off.
No, and you pay them first. I
You
get
pay
that.
them, you know, yeah. And you have to, like, when you have an employee, you have an obligation to them to be profitable because that's the only way they're going to keep a job. So, and then you now have to say, okay, what's going to maximize my ability to keep this person? And it's not people interacting necessarily. It's the work that they do providing a certain amount of margin that you can keep the lights on, pay them, pay yourself, insure against failure.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a very paternalistic worldview that you have to adopt in order to like do that. That's my opinion personally.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, but I have to give credit to
absolutely.
to my team who have not only performed the functions within, you know, while they're clocked in, but have enjoyed working for the team to the point where it's free marketing. They just keep spreading the good word about what we do at where we do, and it just attracts more people.
Yeah. And I mean, camaraderie is a thing that just happens when you have people together and like that interaction happens. So like, for example, when I worked in the restaurant game, the dishwashers would all, you know, joke with each other. They never saw a customer really, you know, they would just be in their own world, but they were buddies because they came in, they did the same thing together, and they would have to pass the time doing work, but obviously they had to bring their personality and they had to get along and cooperate and do all this stuff together and make it happen, right? And save each other. Like those moments when someone almost drops something and you save it and then you prevented them from getting yelled at. Those are those moments where you like, you know, you build that relationship. And it's like, you know, there are different niches that everyone kind of carves out, and it's really based upon just what they can contribute. So like, for example, me personally, like I'm not in the contributing a customer environment like that people can sit down and all that, you know, stuff. That's not, I would drive myself crazy if I tried to do that because there are things that internally go on in my head that would make the customer feel that ultimately.
Okay.
That I'm driving myself crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not providing them with really what they should be getting from me.
Yeah.
It would-
exactly. And I think at the end of the day, whatever you do, if you're an operator, if you're in charge of assembling a team, just be very self-aware of what you want to accomplish as that operator, and in what capacity. Because on the flip side, it's like I remember her name's Jen. She has a salon, and like my first impressions of walking in, you're hit with like all five senses of like the visual aesthetics to the smell. Like they had incense going, and then there's nice music going. So like it just creates that aesthetic that like this is a place that I want to be at.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like this is how I would look at it. You know, and people go there because that's what they want to, right? So it's like, imagine, I'll kind of make two, not even analogies, but just kind of two things to think about and to absorb. The first thing is, imagine if every business that you walked into was designed as if it was the Apple Store. Every business, every single business. The Apple Store is great. Like, you go to the Apple Store, it's wonderful, right? But the reason why the Apple Store works is because not every place is like the Apple Store, right? If you go to Devon Market, you go to Kyoto Black, you go to Walgreens, you go wherever, right? Everything, Apple Store, Apple Store, Apple Store, Apple Store, in terms of its aesthetic and its feel. Mm-hmm. They're very conscious and aware of the design.
Definitely be on brand. And you'll find your niche that fits, is looking for that brand.
Or even if it was like on brand, so it was like every store that's like a competitor of Target looks like a Target. Every store that's a competitor of Apple Store looks like an Apple Store. Every store that's a competitor of Whole Foods looks like a Whole Foods, right? Like, if you had it where it's like you go in and you couldn't tell the difference because they've all just like taken a certain model. I wouldn't want to personally occupy that world. But also, when you're an operator or an owner, you know, just like a business owner in general, your business is like your second spouse, right? So it's like, imagine if you felt like you married the wrong person.
Yeah, I
and you're
understand.
like, I got to get out of this because I'm not really doing what I ought to be doing.
And we also talked about how, you know, your business is not you, right?
It's not.
And it's interesting because your face is kind of on it, so like that's a little different. But I mean, what if you wanted to spawn another business? And like, you know, how do you feel when people approach you because you're Kyoto Black? Like, do you still embrace that? Do you say like, I'm Justin, or like, what do you?
I mean, I'm both.
You're both, yeah.
I'm literally Kyoto Black.
Right, I know, yeah.
Yeah, literally, because I'm one-man operation, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, people do call me Kyoto Black.
And
like,
you don't think you'll ever get tired of that?
I'm already tired of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm already tired of it. Yeah, totally tired of it. But, you know, I brought people on, and then things find a way of not working out because, like,
right.
You know, people are complicated.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
I'm not, you know, like the staff retention problem that everyone's having. Like, I have it too. Like, I've hired people. You know, I had drivers for one reason or other. You know, I had to part with them. You know, so and it's like. And also, too, there's a lot of drag on bringing a person on. Like, the onboarding process for hiring a person is a real pain. You know, when you think about, like, the whole tax issue that you have to go through, like, that registration, you know, I don't offer benefits. But, like, when you add benefits to that, benefits are, like, one. I know people love their benefits and everything, but on a societal level, I think we'd be much better off if you just got a higher pay. And
We did that, higher pay, but you're just a contractor.
Yeah, you higher pay, but you're a contractor.
There's no benefits or anything like that.
But then people look at that like it's not as good because you're not subsidizing.
But I
benefits.
also know that this isn't their day job. This is their primary job.
So
they're either a full-time student or they have day jobs.
So when you go like serious, like let's say you take a business like Kyoto Black and then you want to be like, oh, I want to turn Kyoto Black into a intelligentsia, right? Now all of a sudden you do have to put people on these programs of dental and health and all that stuff, and there's so much of a
there's definitely added cost for
there's not just even added cost, there's added like because it's when it comes to that, it's literally not just money, it's literally compliance. Compliance is its own, because you can start getting
in what way
compliance and making sure that you turned in the right form the right way to the right person on the right time.
There's a lot
that you've stayed on top of it, that you haven't put yourself in any situation where you can get sued, where you haven't intentionally, especially, or even unintentionally, shortchanged your staff in any kind of way because you didn't turn in some paperwork that you weren't even told that you needed to turn in, because you have to hire a lawyer.
They don't make it easy to start a business.
They don't, because you haven't hired the lawyer whose job it is to bring it to your attention. So that whole labyrinth is like the thing, it's the moat that keeps smaller businesses from really like scaling up. There are even different rules. Like, so for example, minimum wage is different depending on how big your company is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Depending on the size of your company, minimum wage is different. So yeah, it's like scaling up. We've erected as a society, just through our own kind of mishandling of things, all these barriers for people to like scale up their businesses. I mean, I don't even think businesses should be taxed, quite frankly, if you think about it. Like, I know I'm getting off tangent here, but if you think about it, like a business is, in order for a business to be profitable, let's say like a business that sells something, right? A service or a good, and not a business that's just like, oh, we flip stocks, you know, not something like that, but like a business that actually provides something that people buy and need. In order to do that profitably, that means that they're actually doing something that's productive. And that the one thing you will want them to do if they're productive is to scale and become more efficient and do more of that thing at a cheaper cost when you scale.
Yeah.
When you tax them, you basically take away their ability to scale. So,
yeah. And
Yep.
these are decisions above our heads.
yep.
So.
But yeah, so we really we went full circle with the whole like business conversation, like high level, low level,
Yeah.
economics, all that stuff. Question of the day: how do you really feel? Tell us how you really feel. Like what's going on in this whole business and world environment, the economic, whatever is going on that you want to talk about today. How do you really feel about it? We just told you how we really felt about it.
Yeah. Let us know, guys. I mean,
Yep.
it's complicated,
It is definitely
and everyone
complicated.
has a slightly different experience. So
Yep.
let us know.